Thanks, you guys. Thank you, guys.
Haven't killed anyone yet.
So, Frank, I'd just like to start. When did you first begin this project, and how long did it take to put it all together?
It was in the works, but I couldn't. I had known Mike for about 6 months. We hang out once a week to watch movies with Mr. Hunchback. And after about 6 months, he casually said something one day about a trial. And I went, "What trial?" Because I don't know anything about it. And when he told me about it, I said to him the next week, "We have to turn this into a documentary," which he agreed to. But I was just about to start another film, so that took some time. And then by the time we got going on this thing, I had a little bout with throat cancer, which knocked things off for about a year. But, you know, now it's finally done.
It's an amazing piece of work, and one of the things I was impressed by was how many people on all sides you were able to get to speak. Did you have any trouble getting any of the opposition to speak for the camera?
I'll talk on that one because we were, I think the biggest hurdle that everyone was mentioned when we started doing is getting baggage. I think that was like our white whale, and looking him up, he's like impossible to find. And I found some numbers in Austin, Texas. Like, you know those, when you Google, and there's like those like white page reverse lookup things that they try to get your money, and you're like, does this work, does it not work? So I just like cold called the first two numbers. The first number didn't pick up, the second number, the guy answers the phone and he goes, "I told you telemarketers to stop fucking calling," click. And I was like, that's him. So then I text messaged him this like, this was like walking on eggshells, like, you know, I had to like get him to listen, and that was really difficult. And then it went like, when I got his email address, I was like, oh, like we're not out of the woods right now. And then like, it was, even when we had him in the room, I was afraid that it wouldn't happen. Like, he was the hardest one. After that, everything else for me as a producer seemed very easy. And yeah.
We had when Anthony said he'll do it, we decided we have to do it right away before he had time to think about it. And it was like, what, 4 days later?
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was immediately.
And he was in Austin, Texas at this point. But it was weird because he was like very, I began by saying, "Stuart, just want to let you know I'm a New York liberal, and I wouldn't be making this if I agreed with the sentencing." And he said, "No, I figured that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I also said, "I'm not going to argue with you, and I'm not going to debate anything. Just say what you want." And then right before we rolled, I said, "I just want to remind you something. You're not under oath."
Well, and the thing with Stuart is like, he was an interview unlike any other interview, as you can tell from watching this, but he was sharp as a tack. I mean, Frank had a list of questions. We were ready to prepared to spend hours with this guy. And after the first question, he knocked like 95% of Frank's list was just like, he didn't know what to ask him because he was so ready to attack that he just knew everything to say. And we're like, oh fuck, what do we ask this guy? Like, we're sitting in this like Airbnb, like, right, like, you know.
I mean, and I thought, you know, he was extremely courteous to us. And I mean, you know, I give him a lot of credit for coming into this knowing that we didn't agree, and he still went along with it.
Yeah.
And his only question to me was, "Are you going to show any of Mike's art?" And I said, "Yes, and we're not going to censor it." And he went, "Oh, good. Because, I mean, he really, truly believes it's, that, you know, you shouldn't be walking the earth.
Yeah. But he also had a second question too.
Yeah, he did. Can we say it?
Yeah. He was like, so will this be a like screening at like,
Oh, no.
like where will this be screening? Like, meaning like he wanted to go to like South by Southwest or whatever it was. But the other person that I'm thinking about it was Heather Redden, the protester. That was a really interesting one because when you start looking at archival footage and you start seeing all these people that are appearing in it, you start having to make decisions like, who are we going to hunt down? Who are we going to really try? Who's important? And Heather Redden was one. She was the lady that said, "Have you ever been sexually abused as a child?" No.
It was basically her saying, "You're lying, Michael."
You're lying,
Got me
Michael.
pissed off.
Yeah, and we were pissed off about that. And so she's is a good life lesson that don't judge a book by its cover, because we were down in Florida, and while we're in Florida shooting like most of the film, I somehow pulled a rabbit out of the hat and got in touch with her. Again, like, just Facebook, found her.
Real quick, I producing this, I wanted artists in the film. I wanted people that were surrounding Mike's case. Anthony did superhuman efforts to get, I mean, you see the clip of the woman saying hardcore psychopathic material. Anthony found her. I thought it was absolutely impossible, seriously. So he got the,
And to be said, Mike got like all the artists.
Yeah, but
Like, so I get back in touch. So Heather, like, I get in touch with her, and she's like, I'm in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, and me and Frank are like, well, we got to change our plane tickets, and we got to just drive to Atlanta. So we're driving to Atlanta like in the dead of night, and we're like, fuck, this could go really wrong, right? Like this lady's crazy. She's fucking crazy, right? But here's the thing though, is she actually practices what she preaches. She's a born again Christian. She totally welcomed Frank into her home with her husband, made us dinner, like we had amazing Thai food.
But she and her husband are Christian missionaries.
No.
Yeah.
After this film, they went overseas.
They went to
Vietnam for many years.
Yeah.
And she actually cooked us.
She cooked us a great dinner.
She cooked us Thai food. Frank's first Thai food. We loved it. Because you can't get Frank to eat anything if it's not Chinese food or just garbage. And so when it was, so this was like, I was laughing because I've asked him to get Thai food many years, and he's like, and I'm like, he can't say no to this lady because it's rude. So he ate it, and he was like, that shit was good. He ordered it the next day. He was like, I love it. But no, we did. You ordered pad Thai. You loved it for like a week. You loved pad Thai.
This screening is brought to you guys by Thai Food.
Yeah. But the weird thing about after all of it, I remember that first, like one of those episodes of Eastbound and Down, is like once we were done with the interview, and we got really emotional. It was an amazing experience for us.
She was just wonderful.
During towards the end, we're leaving. I realized that her husband, who had went up the stairs to go to sleep, like while we did the interview, had like a fucking Glock right on the counter, just like ready to go.
They had guns. I even said, "There's a gun on your kitchen counter," and she goes, "Oh, I heard you. We're great Second Amendment people." And she says, "I have a gun in my purse."
I'll still get Facebooks from her like praying for Frank and I once in a while. She's super praying for all you guys, and it's like
praying for me too.
No, not you. Not you. Said
No,
Frank and
no
Anthony. She goes all the other producers that we haven't met, the cinematographers, the editor, just not this guy.
So, Mike, what was the experience like of kind of reliving this whole thing through being part of the documentary?
Well, it was good, I'd say. It was nothing. It was a little emotional at times, especially when we went back to Florida, when I went there and interviewing my mother and the prosecutor. Well, I mean, the lawyer. But I wasn't supposed to be in Florida, so I was paranoid and worried about the police,
Every minute.
Yeah.
No, really, it was scary.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
really, every time a police car went by, he'd go, oh.
Yeah.
There was one time we had to shut, when we were going to your old house that was demolished, we had to actually stop production and like get you in a car because you were freaking out about it. Because that's how it
Well,
really
someone
They ran
threatened to
his
call the
license.
police is what it was. So.
Yeah, they ran his license. Yeah, would have been bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was a good experience. It wasn't anything like the trial, the stress. And when you think about if you could do things again differently, during the whole trial, I would have just tried to find a way to have more fun with it back then. Because
We were hoping you would get arrested down there because we
No,
did
I know.
a great ending to this,
Endless calls to the police yielded no result.
yeah,
And we could, film you being taken away once again, It would have been a better ending, actually.
nightsticks and everything. Yeah,
So
mace to the face.
there was a thought that kept occurring to me through the film, watching everything that went on, and to me the issue is not, is it obscene or is it not? The issue is, if it is, should it still be prosecuted? If you think something is obscene, does that give you the right to then prosecute it or tell other people that they can or cannot see it. So do you want to speak to that idea?
Well, I think pretty much everything should be allowed to be seen. There's so many different crowds and types of people and different tastes. And when I was doing the fanzine, you know, drawing it back then, I didn't think it was obscene. I just thought I was doing what I wanted to draw, and I wanted to shock people, and it certainly wasn't more obscene than the community I was living in, seeing the news reports and everything. I felt like everything was being swept under the carpet, you know, and people kind of accept life how it is, that a certain percentage of us are going to be abused or whatever. And I felt like that's what I was unhappy about back then. Yeah.
Any questions from the audience?